Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Steel City Commuters podcast. Right back here on Zoom, I, of course, am Austin Cairns with downtown Nicholas Brown for episode 52. Yes, it felt like just a week ago it was episode 50, and it was. We had 50 episodes of Steel City Commuters, but we had a bit of some bonus content last week as both Nick and I actually co-interviewed and had a crossover special with our most recent guest. We're going to talk about that and the experience we actually had with said guest, a first time ever in the history of two Jagoffs, which I cannot wait to share. And of course, Nick and I actually did something cool for the first time ever this past weekend. All that and much more will be talked about here today on the Steel City Commuters podcast. Nick Brown, it's always good to see you, my friend. We actually saw each other earlier today, which we'll get into in a little bit, but how's everything going with you back there in New Kensington?
Good to see you. I know that when I saw you today, I was exhausted, and so were you. I actually come
Yes.
home and actually slept for like, I don't know, maybe 5 hours, and so I'm feeling well rested. So it's going to definitely be a hard time going back to sleep at night. But there's just so much to do. It is finals week for both of us at Point Park, and we're just trying to get everything in a time crunch. And it's just there's not enough time in a day, especially when you're involved with extracurricular and just side things. You got to manage it very well, and that means putting in late nights.
I know, and this is actually going to be a rare night for you. If all goes according to plan, you'll be doing double the episodes tonight on Zoom. One with our buddy LK and then one with me here on Steel City. So I'm glad I have you right now. Hopefully you can get that done too. But I feel you on the late nights, man. I mean, these last couple of nights, I've been on three different broadcasts. One of them actually with you. Again, we'll hint at that later on. But one of them was IWC Wrestling, which took place on Saturday night. I didn't get home till close to 1 a.m. So that was definitely interesting. We'll talk about that in the episode. But I feel like the best place to start is always with our recaps. I feel like the best time is to recap last week's Steel City episodes and last week two Jagoffs episodes. In terms of Steel City, it was nothing fancy. It was just our big episode 50 on Zoom. We had a nice discussion. We shared our thoughts on the Cowboys, which they did end up losing, unfortunately, to the Lions. We'll talk about that at the end of the episode with our little Cowboy probability odds as we do every week. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they actually got a win on Sunday against the Baltimore Ravens, 27 to 22. And then we had a couple of other cool discussions on that episode too. So if you haven't checked out episode 50 yet, highly recommend you do so. That episode is out now on Spotify, YouTube, and Facebook. In terms of two Jagoffs, on Thursday, we were joined with good friend Matt Palangi. It was Lucas, myself, and Matt Palangi. He was a returning guest. Of course, I interviewed him earlier this year on two Jagoffs. He actually joined the both of us on Steel City Commuters as well earlier this year. So Matt is a friend of both of ours, a friend of the show. It was great to have him. But the episode that I want to talk about with you, Nicholas Brown, was the Sunday episode. What a fun episode it was. We'll talk about our experience post episode afterwards, but talking specifically to Jagoff Steel City Commuters here, what was your thoughts on Ted Black? Love Ted Black.
I love Ted Black. He actually came, I actually posted because you know how we like network on LinkedIn. That is kind of one of the only social medias Ted Black has. So if anybody didn't know that, Ted Black is exclusively only on LinkedIn. I threw up my picture of him this week. And what did he say? A fat guy in a little coat? I think that's what he said,
Something like
right?
that.
Something like that. So Ted is definitely have more on the humorous side and can joke around and did joke around. But in that episode, we talked a lot about Ted's career. Ted actually has a lengthy career, Austin. I've never experienced and had that experience. It had so many different roles, different positions, and has that much talent that eventually all leads back home to Pittsburgh, back to his nature and what he's doing at Point Park University. It's amazing at the amount of experience Ted Black has regarding from to Penguins to the TV business to fundraising and looking at different options and different possibilities. Ted definitely has a lengthy career.
Couldn't agree more with you, Nick Brown. Ted Black has been someone that we both looked up to. We both looked at as a mentor. We both looked at as a connection here at Point Park University. Of course, both of us are very big on our LinkedIn accounts, our social media pages, promoting the hell out of everything that we do, marketing everything that we do. And Ted has been a very big supporter of ours. Actually, he was a big supporter of mine a lot through LinkedIn. And then I think, of course, seeing our friendship, obviously he's thrown some support your way as well. And that's what's so cool about Point Park University. You simply being my friend or me simply being your friend, we both reap the same benefit. Same goes for Lucas Coons and Kevin Homa, who doesn't even go to Point Park University or goes to college at all. We all reap the same benefit because of our friend group and how established we are together as a team. But Ted Black, I mean, talk about the history. Buffalo Sabres, Pittsburgh Penguins, Point Park University, you name it, Ted Black has done it. He's been there from working in the same hall as Mario Lemieux to now President Chris Brusalis. This is a man right here that, in my opinion, if a Point Park student is listening, make a connection with. This is the guy that you want to meet with. And not only that, it's one of the most down to earth, genuine humans that I've met. Ted, if you're listening out there, thank you for all that you've done for both Nick and I. Obviously, we'll share our little restaurant experience we had with you in a second, but I'll give Nick the final thoughts on the episode.
Especially Ted working in Fox and sports in the TV business.
Yes.
I mean, today's market, Austin, as you know, sports is trying to take over given all the streaming. And I think Ted kind of shed light onto that because we talked heavily, not heavily, but we talked a good amount of time about this era today and how college students and the younger generation is turning to streaming and how these streaming companies and streaming platforms are trying to create this new idea, new approach to how you watch TV, how you watch movies, how you're on the go. And Ted is the perfect person for that in this industry to kind of highlight and talk about the dynamics of it all.
Couldn't agree more with you. And of course, we like to end off every episode that we have with any kind of guest, whether it be two Jagoff Steel City commuters. We love to ask them the fan favorite food question. And personally, this was an icebreaker question for me. I always just like to ask this people in conversation when I first meet them, just because A, respectfully, I'm a fat ass that love food. I love to go out and eat. And B, because it's a fun question to add to an episode, whether it's a serious guest like a politician or a fellow student of ours. Everybody has a favorite restaurant, right? It doesn't matter what you are. Everybody likes to eat. You have to eat to live. So we happened to ask Ted Black, hey, what was your favorite restaurant? And Nick, you were the one that put the peer pressure on him saying, don't use a cop-out answer like President Chris Brasales did using the dining hall and then a place that doesn't exist anymore, Two Jagoffs Live. So Ted gave us a place that neither one of us could afford if we put both of our incomes and probably our family's incomes together. That, of course, being the Duquesne Club, which is in downtown Pittsburgh. Now, this is where I will happily pass it over to Nick Brown to explain most of our experience, and then I'll touch in where I can with this. But long story short, in the episode, Ted Black said he was going to formally invite the both of us to the Duquesne Club for lunch. Now, I feel like I'm speaking for the both of us when I say we both thought that was a joke. We both just took it as a joke, like, ha ha ha. Yes, we'll go out to eat. Because there's been plenty of times in the episode where former guests, without naming names, have said, yeah, we'll go out to eat and get something. But obviously, it's just for the episode. We don't actually go out and eat afterwards. They have to go their ways. We have to go our ways. Next thing you know, a day later, we get an email from, I want to say it was Paula, who works within Ted Black and Chris Brasale's office. She sends us an email that literally says 3 Jagoffs lunch. And it is an invitation with 3 different dates for Nick and I to go through and pick on what day we were going to eat at the Duquesne Club. And this is where I'll happily pass it over to you, Nick Brown. Thursday, December 4th, me and you show up with a suit on, looking nice, looking fresh, looking clean, and we got to go to the Duquesne Club. Lay out the foundation for us.
So we're walking down Sixth because we were at an event previously, real quickly. And when you
Oh, yeah,
walk
you want to
down,
cover that real fast?
okay, we
Yeah.
can.
Yeah, let's
So
go chronological here. Yes.
so
My
we
mistake.
had
I totally forgot
class.
about that.
So yeah, we have class together Tuesdays, Thursdays, and when we were finished, we had a few things to. We dropped off our stuff in Nina's office, and then in front of the city county building was the all-exclusive Pittsburgh Riverhounds getting their trophy. So Bob Pompiani was their MC. Kyle Archer was there in the crowd. Lots of sports and media. 2 former Jagoff guests, Representative Dan Deasy and Representative Teresa Cal Smith, who both represent District 2.
Potential future guest, Mayor-elect Corey O'Connor was there. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
and current mayor, Mr. Ed Gainey, until January. So we were able to kind of spare some time, run up there, see what the event was like. Again, lots of guests, lots of people. The trophy actually was amazing. The whole team was able to speak. We
Can I
didn't
cut you off
say
for
the
1 second?
words, right?
I totally forgot to mention to you this. Guess who was also in attendance that we didn't get to see?
Who?
Cupcake.
Cupcake.
Uncle Johnny was there. Who would have thought? He
Who
sent me
would have
pictures.
thought?
I was like, "You were there?" And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay."
I forgot my gloves in my bag, and so we walked up to the event, and I was absolutely freezing. Even in a suit and being warm, I said, "Okay, Austin, let's go," because the walk's about 10 minutes.
Yeah, we had to go. We had to
So
go.
we're walking down Sixth, and I go, I think that's the Duquesne Club. Well, there's another business before. So once you walk up to the Duquesne Club, you have to walk up these stairs, and you have to go through these revolving doors. Now, as soon as you walk in, I think both of our comments was like, we do not belong here. Mind you, Ted thinks that we do belong here. So thanks, Ted, because that just boosts our ego and gets us even more hyper. So as soon as you walk in, there's a dude to the right at the front desk, and he asks us who we're with, and we're go Ted Black for lunch, and he directs us to the room that Ted is in, adjacent to the left. Austin had his coat because I'm the dumb one, didn't bring my coat. I just had my suit jacket on. And so Austin goes to hang his coat up in the one room, and then we find Ted in the other room. And so we shake hands and we're walking with Ted. Mind you, this place is absolutely beautiful. The decorations are gorgeous. It is Christmas time, so there's wreaths, there's Christmas trees, there's the Nutcracker, there's trains, there's everything you need to know regarding this kind of Christmas environment. So, just to get to the exclusive Pine Room where you have lunch, you have to walk up these two sets of stairs. Mind you, it was a hike. So by the time you're at the dining hall, you're ready to eat. Now,
Hmm.
of course, Ted Black, who's a member of the club, as well as President Chris Brusalis, was also there. Mind you, we didn't even know Chris was there, and we had the pleasure of sitting next to Chris. But again, this Pine Room is meant for meetings. It's meant for, lunch, one-on-one activity. And believe it or not, there was a lot of course, I'm going to say professionals, but again, a lot of meetings happening behind the scenes, new people coming to town, purchasing different things, lawyers, possibly judges, higher ups. And so we had this all-inclusive lunch. I absolutely did not know what to get because there was no chicken tenders and fries.
Oh
That's
my
the go-to.
goodness.
So Austin and I both settled on the New York, I think it's mint steak,
Strip steak.
strip steak with French fries and butternut squash. Ted was debating on whether he wanted octopus or whether he wanted.
Didn't you get a salad too?
Oh yes, I also got a side
And I
salad.
got a
You got the
soup. What was
soup.
the soup? What soup was it?
It was really good though. It looked though.
It was the best soup I ever had. I don't know what it was called, but it was so good.
You were like, yeah, I'll take that soup, that first one.
I didn't know what it was called. She was like, So which soup do you want?" I'm like, "The first one."
And Ted was debating on octopus and something else. I'm trying to remember it, and he ended up making the decision of octopus. He said that he loved it, but again, even though we had lunch with Ted, we saw President Chris Rusalis, who was sitting at the table next to us, and then of course everybody else coming up to Ted Black because meetings happen in public, quick highs, buys, and then Ted had the pleasure of getting us dessert. Each of us six exclusively Duquesne Club macaroons.
Oh, the
Give us a
accent.
little
Okay.
spin. I will say Austin had one on site because he goes, "Oh, I can't leave here without having one." Well, I'll tell you this. I didn't have one until I got home because I was full. I could not fit any more room because they was like, "Do you want coffee? Do you want macaroons?" I'm like, "You're lucky I'm even able to get up and walk down the stairs right now, mind you, let alone eat more." So we had the best lunch ever. We walked with Ted around it. He showed us the Duquesne Club. There's even a garden room. There's this all-inclusive library. And also, I didn't know this, and we didn't know this either. You can only pull out your phone in certain rooms. And there's actually a room, for people that don't know, in the Duquesne Club, where you can chill, make a call, and relax until your time to time. And also, you can stay at the Duquesne Club. And what was the fancy word he used? If you have the certain um, points or you have a certain something about
Don't look at
staying.
me. I don't know.
He was saying something about if you're a Duquesne Club member, but if you wanted to stay at another hotel within like the Duquesne Club or another club, you can because of a certain system that you're in. So when he travels to, a different state and you're part of the Duquesne Club and you're able to stay at another club, you're able to for free. And we were talking about this environment. The Pine Room is like an old-fashioned room. I couldn't believe it, but I think the Christmas decorations make all these rooms stand out. There was a pool room, he was talking about you can have a drink and play pool, and I said, "Oh, awesome, that's right up your alley."
That's
But
oh yes it is. Oh
but it
yes
was
it
a
is.
really really cool event, really lovely experience with Duquesne Club, and Ted could not stress this enough to us that we are going to be future guests of the Duquesne Club, which is probably a high honor.
And to add on top of what Nick Brown was saying too, the fact that he let two students who one of them isn't even 20 yet, and the other one who just turned 22, actually go to Duquesne Club and have that kind of experience and be able to not only just talk to us, let us network a little bit, expand our connections, give us advice on what we should do with our future careers. Obviously, Nick going to be going into the second half of his sophomore year, me going into my second half of my senior year, and then eventually the real world. So the fact that Ted Black took the time to actually speak with us, give us advice, buy us lunch, which was a very expensive lunch, might I add, and even have the courage to invite us there. That's a place where it's sacred. You don't invite outsiders in. You don't let people in just randomly off the street. And I'm not trying to discredit either one of us, but respectfully, we're in that class. We're not meant to be in there quite yet. And to both Ted Black and Chris Brasaus, who said we will be there one day, from the bottom of our hearts, we both appreciate it. It means the absolute world to us. We will both work our tails off and strive our very best to eventually get there and have lunch and have octopus with you guys. I don't know if I'll have octopus. The tentacles kind of freak me out a little bit, but I'll definitely be there next to you eating that soup. That soup was really good. But in all seriousness, thank you, Ted Black. You were one of my favorite personal guests that I've actually had on Two Jagoffs, and one of my favorite connections that I've made at Point Park University. I really, from the bottom of my heart, means the world to me. And I actually spoke to both my parents, and they wanted me to put this message out there. They wanted me to thank you as well for allowing their son to have this opportunity. So thank you, Ted. Thank you, President Brasaus. Thank you, Point Park.
What was your thoughts on the macaroons? I finished mine within, I think, 3 days.
I actually was humble enough to share mine. So
Oh, that's not happening. Sorry, you're not at the Duquesne Club. You ain't getting macaroons. Period. No questions asked. Not
Bella,
happening.
my sister Bella loves macaroni, so I had to give some to her. So I didn't really care for the ones that were like chocolate, like half
There's
chocolate. I
something
didn't really.
wrong with you. I'm done with.
They're, no,
I'm
no,
done with
they're
your
good.
ass.
No, they're good. But I'm just saying I like the other ones better. I like the plain ones. I had the three plain ones to myself.
I'm done with your ass. Talking about oh,
What? I
your
still
chocolate
ate them.
macaroons.
I
As
still
you
ate them.
should. They're all inclusive macaroons. You try and make me in a Duquesne Club macaroon, then we can talk.
Okay, okay, all right. Well, anywho, moving on from Ted Black, we do appreciate everything that you did for us. Let's talk about some other stuff that went on throughout the week. I want to move into the wrestling topic now because that same day, yes, this exact same day that we were eating that amazing steak at the Duquesne Club, I had the privilege of going to Allentown, Pennsylvania. And for some people, that may not be a privilege because, respectfully, the area is not the nicest. But it's also is the new home of 880 Wrestling. Of course, 1010 Furryburg Street, the south side is no more. 829 Industry Street every Thursday for Thursday Night Fights. It is. I'm still on commentary with my good friend Toddy Tondera. I did not get kicked off this time. I did get turned into a coat rack in the first match, but that's besides the point. But outside of that, what an amazing night to start the show. Reese Hayes and MV Young. We had a tag team title match. Of course, there was Tatiana, Nix Wild, some guy named John Clayton King, all the fan favorites there. It was a great, great time. I was absolutely honored to be on there. So I'm going to pass over to Nick real quick. Nick, what do you think about the new location? I know you weren't there for it, but just by me talking to you, what do you think from the outsider's perspective?
I think it was MV Young that posted a new picture on Facebook that said, "Come to Thursday Night Fights, 829 Industry Street." And there's actually heat in this building, which is
Yes.
fantastic because after the skateboard shop, after the skate shop, that deterred me away from going because I was so freaking cold. But now that there's heat, I might have to return to Thursday Night Fights in Allentown at the Bottle Rocket. I actually love the Bottle Rocket, so maybe that's like an incentive to go because of the Bottle Rocket just being up the hill. But Thursday Night Fights are always a blast, especially with Kevin, especially with Mike. I'm sorry, Carl,
Yeah,
John, some
Carl.
guy named John and Clayton, and of course Toddy Tondera. So of course, got to get myself back to Thursday Night Fights in Allentown, 829 Industry Street. No more at the skate shop except for Austin. He has to report to the skate shop every Thursday.
Yeah, thank goodness I didn't go there. Marco tried making fun of me as he came out to the ring and said, "Aren't you supposed to be in the South Side?" I'm like, "No, I'm here." But anyway, IWC Wrestling was the other wrestling event that took place. Now, this is big for me because this is the final IWC of 2025. It was the eighth annual Pittsburgh Classic. I was on commentary for four matches, two of them actually with former Two Jagoffs guests. Nick Lendl, who recently was on the podcast, I got to call the high stakes championship match and the WWEID championship match, which was personally one of the biggest matches I called in my entire career. The other two were with Joe Dombrowski. Now, I never called with Joe. I've been friends with Joe for a very long time. We went out to dinner several times. He's taken me on the road a couple of times to Dayton, Ohio. Joe has been an incredible mentor on this journey for me, and I have nothing but love and respect for him. You even met Joe as well yourself, Nick. He's been a great guy and been a big supporter of both of ours. With that being said, I did not expect to call the main event ladder match until the very last second. Now, be that as it may, I don't exactly know how that happened, but however it did happen, I believe everything happens for a reason. So thank you to the Lord above. I don't mean to get religious here, but everything does happen for a reason. So thank you to anybody that made that opportunity even possible. Not only did I call one of the most historic moments in IWC history where the Justin Plummer era has came to an end, I got to call a match with one of my buddies, Andrew Palace. Andrew Palace has been a mentor for me in this business for quite some time. I've called an Andrew Palace match before, but this one was the most important. That man was bloodied like no tomorrow. The crimson red mask was all on his face. It was a great night. It was a historic night in Elizabeth, PA. I can't speak on too much behind the scenes stuff, but let's just say there's a lot of big stuff planned for 2026 in terms of IWC. There's some stuff I actually have to tell you off the record, Nick, possibly maybe after this call. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know if I feel confident enough telling you. I don't know if you're exactly in that elite status yet in the wrestling world. I
Buddy.
don't know. What?
You
Don't buddy
continue
me, but
you
anyway,
continue to disappoint me, but that's okay.
okay. Anyway, but in closing, I had a
In
great night.
closing,
Yeah, in closing, this is my final speech here, damn it. In
thank
closing,
God.
oh,
Then I get the
shut up.
floor.
Let
Then
me
I get
finish
the
my
floor.
monologue. But in closing, I would like to say thank you both to Lucas Coons, Mr. Jack Dean, and Kevin Homa for making an appearance up there. And Nick, of course, for you whenever you come down to the South Side and stuff. I appreciate when all my friends come and support me at these wrestling events because without you guys, I sent a big long message in our group chat earlier on how appreciative I am of you guys. I actually mean it. I'm not just saying it. It means the world to me. Derek Dillinger, Katie Arquette, Andrew Palace, Wes Barkley, Duke Davis, and any other wrestler that took the time to give me advice backstage. I love and appreciate you guys as well. Thank you so much.
Can you confirm to me if it's true that Duke Davis actually approached Lucas and asked if he was at the Brazilian steakhouse? Can anybody confirm that? That's what the rumors were floating around. At least that was what was top of my inbox this morning, and I go, interesting. I'll have to ask anybody who was at the event.
I can confirm, and I know Lucas will definitely reaffirm that as well on two Jagoffs later this week. It will be me and him doing the Week 15 NFL predictions. And something that Duke Davis told him was, I do not want to talk to you, associate with you, shake your hand, or even take a picture with you if you did not go to either Frego de Chao or the Brazilian Steakhouse. Unfortunately, little did Duke Davis know up until that point, Lucas did not make an appearance at either one. And I kind of rubbed it in by saying we went to the Duquesne Club, so that didn't exactly make Duke too happy. And I mean, respectfully, that is the last person you want to make mad. I did not want to make Duke Davis mad. Did you see him choke me in the one picture? His hand is the size of my head, Nick.
You are a wrestler, by the way. That's why John wants you to get in the ring.
Absolutely, I'm not wrestling. I already declined some guy named John's offer. We talked about this on two Jackoffs. I'm done. No, 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 no match. I'm a commentator. I'm happy at the commentator's position. But IWC, I love and appreciate you guys. The fact that the WWE has a match that I called, and now AEW has a match that I called, that just proves that 2026 is going to be a big year, not just for me, but for our entire team. So I'm blessed, I'm honored, I'm humbled, I'm happy. Thank you all so much. Love you, IWC fans. Any final wrestling thoughts from you before we move on?
I wish I could get to IWC. It's a little bit of a drive down in Elizabeth, and
I'll tell you
you know,
what, I'll make a deal with you right now in Steel City. If you can convince Kevin to be your driver there, I will take the time to drive you all the way home. Like home,
perfect.
home.
When's the next IWC? What is it?
End of
February?
February. End of February. February 20 something.
Okay, deal. We'll get to IWC.
Here, virtual handshake. There we go. Downtown Nick Brown will be debuting at IWC in February.
Oh
That'll
boy.
be fun.
I will pay my $40 for front
Front
row
row?
seats.
Oh, sweet. Well, then, yeah, just you meet Lucas and Jack up there then.
Mind the hell would I pay general admission? It's only $20 more.
That's what I'm
And
saying.
I'm gonna echo Lucas here for a minute. I don't want the goofball fans standing up every 2 seconds and you can't see. So I'm just gonna pay the admission just so I can actually see it. I'm going to an event to see something. Why would I pay $26 just to sit there and I can't see a damn thing?
That is true. That is true. I would resemble that same thing as a commentator who once was a fan.
Well, there you go.
Be that as it may, with that being said, last topic I would like to talk about before we get to our NFL discussion. We're not going to spend too much time on it because we can't quite reveal just yet what it is. But Nick Brown actually made his broadcasting debut. We recorded this on a Sunday. Obviously, this episode is being posted on a Wednesday. But this past Sunday, Sunday, December 7th, Nicholas Brown and I were on play-by-play in Keller. I, of course, was play-by-play. Nick Brown was Keller. And I can't exactly reveal what the sport was. I can't exactly reveal who it was for or what it was for. No, it was not wrestling, for anybody wondering. It was not pro wrestling. I don't think I'm quite ready to have Nick Brown on a pro wrestling commentary with me. He'd pick on me the whole time. But
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But we did broadcast our first ever sport together. This is probably like my 12th or 13th sport at this point. This is Nick's first. So I'm glad and honored that I got to be your first ever broadcasting partner, Nick. But what I can reveal about this project that we're working on was we were at Duquesne University today. We were on the football field, their actual football field, which was cool. And we teamed up with every podcast at Point Park University to put on a showcase that got to market all of us. I can't exactly reveal what the sport was, what we did, how we're doing it, or how much more we're going to do of it. But long story short, two Jagoffs, Steel City commuters, have a shift day. We are family, and the T. Lane Graves podcast, along with some help from fellow Point Park sports comm students, all came together and put on one big production for a sporting game that took place at Duquesne. I'm honored to be the voice of it. I know that me and you going forward will now be the broadcasting team, and we're actually going to get content out of it that we're going to be able to put on both Steel City and Two Jagoffs pages, and they can put on all their pages. So I'm excited for it. Obviously, I know you got to watch what you say here, Nick, just like I did too. But what do you think of these collaborative efforts that we had today?
It was really good. You know, being new to the industry and being on color, there's a lot of things that you have to kind of get used to. It's called timing and it's called, making sure that you understand what's happening and you kind of divulge into things, but you have to keep it short. Let me just tell you, I've never seen somebody move around so much in Austin. I started at one end and Austin was so way down at the other, and I said, I gotta follow him because I can't hear.
Me?
I will also say it was freezing cold and we were standing the whole time. So that didn't help either.
Yeah,
But
not the. Yeah.
it was a really cool event. I enjoyed it. It triggered the inner Jim Nance, Tony Romo, the way you set the tone for the broadcast outside in Pittsburgh at 30 degrees with a wind chill of like 20.
Be honest. I didn't get to ask you this earlier, and I'm going to put you on the spot here on the episode before we move on. In all seriousness, how did it actually sound working with me as doing play by play? Because you've seen me in a bunch of different roles before. You see me do play by play at wrestling, but you never quite actually worked with me. How was it actually doing it?
Well, I know you and like how you talk and like the length of it and how you take a breath. So it's very easy to kind of understand. Of course, there was times that we talked over each other, and you can always relate that into the audio biz and
Yeah,
into this business. There's a audio delay because yes, we were next to each other, but there's always that echo when you get the professional headset and you get the professional stuff. There's always that little bit of audio delay, and you hear it on TV, you hear it in person, you hear it wherever. But it was really good working with Austin. I think I can work with Austin the best because I know him and I know his strategy and I know the way he kind of talks compared to a lot of others. They try. And we've had this happen with guests. They'll talk, take a breath, then talk again, and you think they're finished and you
yeah,
kind of step on them. So Austin, I know when he's going to take that breath, when I can jump in and you can add and you can kind of relate. But I will say this field was massive. We only, it was cool. It was nice, but it was freezing. I had gloves on. You didn't have any gloves on. And let me just say, there is nobody else that I know more than Austin that scribbles on the paper in real time. I can
I'm a
never
pen
do
and
such
paper
a
guy.
thing.
I'm a pen and paper guy.
The amount of notes that he had scribbled on that paper, I go, I don't know how you can read that.
Yeah, here's my thing. I do this with wrestling too, and it's weird. This is some advice for some other broadcasters out there. I don't know if this will help. I like to get like a couple. I don't like scripting out my broadcast. I don't. Sometimes I'll script an intro and outro just to make it like if I have to fit in the weather or where I'm at or what time it is or who's playing or what the stats are. But outside of that, I don't like scripting my broadcasting style. I like to just go naturally. Like if I have to read off the pen and paper, welcome to Duquesne University for this I don't like that. I like to go, all right, Austin Cairns, Nicholas Brown here on the broadcast here at Acrisure Stadium for this upcoming matchup between the Baltimore Ravens and Pittsburgh. It sounds so much more natural like that. So as Nick alluded to on my pen and paper, and again, we'll explain this more when we can actually reveal what the sport is. I wrote down notes beforehand of everybody that was involved in this podcasting, but when I just want some interesting facts. And if you notice, Nick, throughout the broadcast, I didn't say it all at once. I sprinkled
Right.
it in there throughout the show, so like throughout the event. So if there was like a dead space where we really didn't have much to say, I would throw out that stat, or I'd throw out that number, or I'd throw out that interesting fact. So like, for example, if Ryan Tile made a big play, I have a couple of notes on Ryan Tile. I'm going to throw one of them in there. Now, obviously, I didn't get everything in that I wrote on that paper, but that's okay. I got most of it in, and I feel like it made a really good broadcast.
Coming to you live from the Duquesne Field, Pittsburgh. This is your pregame show right here on
But I
80KX.
appreciate the kind words, though, Nick. It's great working with you too. You got a bright future.
Well, thank you. We're channeling our inner Jim Nance, Tony Romo, and
You
Bob
know what? If I'm
Montiani
Jim
and
Nance, I will
Charlie
take that as a
Batch.
compliment. I'll take that as a compliment.
I'll be Tony.
No,
I can
you know
trigger my
what?
man Tony. I did sound like him a few times, but
Be that as it may.
that
Ready
is an
for
iconic duo that nobody will ever forget. It's Jim Nance and Tony Romo.
As much as I don't like Tony Romo as a broadcaster, I actually agree with you. They are one of the they are one of the most legendary duos. I will agree with you on that. Speaking of your Dallas Cowboys, I think it's the time that everybody's been waiting for. Let's get into the NFL and let's get into the Dallas Cowboys. Now, Nicholas Brown. This past week, you gave me a very hard time in picking the Dallas Cowboys over the Detroit Lions. Now, I don't know if anybody saw two Jagoffs on the NFL Week 14 predictions. I did a whole little song and dance. This man right here, actually, my co-host, my protege, called it ridiculous, called it unnecessary, nonsense. Let me lay out the foundation here. I picked up the Lions hat. I threw it across the room. Then I picked up the Cowboys hat, and I also threw it across the room. And I ripped open my nice NFL button-up jacket to reveal a Detroit Lions t-shirt. Now, I'm not a Lions fan. I'm a sad Cardinals fan. This is established. The Cardinals suck. They got blown out by the Rams 45-17, but that's neither here nor there. The Detroit Lions beat the Dallas Cowboys. Now, statistically, this is not me just clowning on the Cowboys, Nick. This is real-time stats here. The Dallas Cowboys are 6-6-1. At this current point in time, there is an 8% chance to make the playoffs. That's not a number that's fabricated. That's not something I pulled out of my ass. That is real-time next-gen stats from the NFL themselves and the Dallas Cowboys. 8% chance to make the playoffs. Now, keep in mind, Nicholas Brown, that bet is still on that we made at the beginning of the year here on Steel City Commuters, and a common theme that a lot of people like to look forward to in these episodes are your Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl probability odds. You were riding all high and mighty when it came to the Kansas City Chiefs win on Thanksgiving, but as big of a win that was, the Lions game was more important, as both me and you know, due to the NFC seeding. I'm going to pass the floor over to you. I'm going to shut my loud mouth for a second. I know that's hard to do, but I'm actually going to shut it. Nicholas Brown. Mr. Downtown Nicholas Brown. Mr. Duquesne Club Steak Brown. What can be those Dallas Cowboys probability odds?
They need a lot of help along the way. They also need to win out. Thursday night against the Lions was a must win. You are now down to 4 games left, I think. Three. Now you're down to 3 games. They have an easy schedule. I think it's the Raiders. It's the, it's these teams that are like already mathematically eliminated that have really no damn chance in hell that should be winning. So you have to win out, and you also need some help along the way. Cowboys have now fallen to 10th on the bubble because, if you look at the NFL, they go 1 through 11. We need a lot of help along the way. We need the NFC East. If you look at the NFC East, you really need the Eagles to lose. That is one team that I'm counting on that'll loss for tomorrow. If that does to happen, they also need a lot of help along the way, but they also need to win out. If you can't win out yourself, Austin, there's really no rhyme or reason you should really be in the playoffs. You could also do the same thing for the Steelers, but that's a story for another different day. This is a first-year coach with Brian Schottenheimer. He's doing amazing. He has his understandability about the clock, but when you have Matt Eberflus on your team, that raises a lot of questions. Dak has now fallen out of the MVP conversation after Thursday night's loss, and that is just not me saying that. That is what, Al Michael and the Thursday night crew has said, that after the loss Thursday night, you really can't be MVP if you can't win out and save your season. If your season is on the line, you need to go out with every technique that you have, every power that you have, that you need to get back on track. At this current time, it's about a 20% chance in my book. We'll see what happens next week, but at this point,
Oh, come on. You're telling me with an 8% chance of making the playoffs, you have a 20% chance of them winning the Super Bowl.
no, not even making it to the playoffs.
Continue.
When there's really not much to say at this point. I mean, this team has like fallen off a cliff. They were riding high on the cliff. They are now at the bottom of the cliff. And when your season is on the line, you need to do everything you can to save your season. I'm not sure Dak wants to do that. I'm not sure George Pickens wants to save the season. I'm not sure CeeDee Lamb is going to save the season. Now that CeeDee Lamb is out, you could say goodnight, sayonara to this team. Done talking about it. Move on to next season.
Season's over. I mean, let's just be honest. The season is over. Dallas Cowboys either need a win out or they need the Philadelphia Eagles to lose pretty much the three of their last 4 games. Obviously, it's to secure a wild card spot, which is unrealistic for them. They need to finish strong as well They need to win at least 4 of the last 5 games, and they need teams like the Packers to lose, the Niners to lose. Hell, even the Bears need to lose, Nick Brown. I'm looking at their schedule, the last 4 games that they have right now. It goes Minnesota Vikings, Los Angeles Chargers, Washington Commanders, New York Giants. They're home for the next 2 and on the road for the last 2. The last 2 games sounds like easy wins. Yes, the Commanders and Giants, they're both banged up. Well, guess what? A, they're division rivals, and B, they're both on the road. Washington D.C. and New York MetLife Stadium this time of year is not the best conditions to be playing in. So those 2 games are already a toss-up automatically due to both the weather and it being a division opponent on the road. Number 2, you play the Chargers on Sunday, December 21st, that being a 1 o'clock game. With the Chargers the way they've been playing this year, this is such a 50-50 toss-up game at the end of the day. I mean, I personally believe, and I've said this before on record, that Justin Herbert and the Chargers are probably the most overrated team in the NFL. I've been saying that statement all season long, and I stand on that. But this is still a losable game for the Cowboys. Then you look next week at the Vikings. Yeah, 2 weeks ago they got blown out, didn't score a single point. But guess what? This past week they did the complete opposite to the Commanders, who are in the same division as you, with that incredible Vikings defense. So the Vikings defense, I mean, if they can contain Dak Prescott, that's really all you got to do to beat this Cowboys team. And that is on a Sunday night stage. That's on primetime lights, which Dak Prescott is known for not capitalizing on before. So I'm worried about this Cowboys team. I could see them losing out. I don't think it's going to happen, but I could see it.
Well, when you don't have CeeDee Lamb, he's out with a concussion. I mean, I don't know really who you're gonna fill the shoes with. Jake Ferguson,
Who
maybe,
fumbled?
yeah, maybe GP. This team is really not at its best right now. Again, when you fall off a cliff and you're in like the valley, it's very hard to get out of the cliff if you don't actually show up. Well, not, if you don't show up, then you can just forget about it. But all hail to Brian Schottenheimer. What is first season he's had? If this is going to continue next season, then we can really start talking. And if you make the changes necessary in the offseason, then we can really start talking about a team that's meant for America's team.
We'll just have to wait and see. At least you're starting to come to your senses now, and at least I have an 8% chance of going possibly bald now. So I will take it.
If you don't even make it to the playoffs, then we don't even have to worry. But if they make it
Yeah.
to the playoffs, that's a whole new different ballgame for us. But no playoffs, none of us have to worry.
Yeah, no, it's not to worry because you have to be in the playoffs for your bet too, so that's okay.
Yeah. So if you don't even make the playoffs, but if we make the playoffs, then I'm really going to be critical because this wonderful head of
Yeah,
hair.
you might have a mohawk.
So again, this bet only works if they make the playoffs. If they
Yeah,
don't
I
even
don't know.
make the playoffs, we will come up with a new bet next year. And maybe we'll even get a little bit more crazier. We'll see, because the offseason is always the best time for teams. And I guarantee you, Brian Schottenheimer is going to definitely have a word on this season.
Absolutely. Well, as we are closing off with the last couple minutes here, I would like to say this: do not have time to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers in today's
Thank
episode,
God.
but they did get a they did get a big win today against division rival the Baltimore Ravens. We're actually going to be back on Zoom next week. Both Nick Brown and I will cover the Steelers and how they've been doing the last couple games. We'll cover them the rest of the season since they are technically still in playoff contention. And then, of course, I know there'll be some 880 storylines, some more two Jagoffs guests, and some big things happening. Last thing I want to put on this episode this Sunday on Two Jagoffs, Brandon St. James, Satan's favorite saint, will be joining me for an all-exclusive Two Jagoffs interview. No weekly guest on Two Jagoffs this week, just Lucas and I rocking the ship. Outside of that, though, Nick Brown and I right back here on Zoom for Steel City Commuters. Nick, real quick, any final words?
Hey, Ravens are
Oh my
6-7.
6-7. Yeah, they're 6-7.
I had to hit it, and I did hit it on the broadcast today.
Yes, you did. I was right next to you. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in to yet another episode of Steel City Commuters. Go show some love to downtown Nick Brown and yours truly. Until next time, see you all in the next one. Peace.
Peace.